We're good.
I find this is my Zoom posture.
Okay. Well, then why don't you start talking because we're live.
Yeah, I know. All right. Hey, welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to your kind of monthly TFFL webcast here in the 2022 off season. It is July 13th. And it's kind of a dead time right now in both the NFL and the TFFL. But let's communicate. Let's engage. Let's talk amongst friends. Let's start with our panel intros. We've got High Command from Jack's Giant Killers. Berto, welcome.
Nick, how are you? Good to be back.
What does your shirt say there exactly?
Fantasy football legend.
Very nice. Hank, our IT director, czar, and CEO of the K-Wheels.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Happy birthday to brother Rich Berkman.
Yes, that's right.
I was going to do some birthday shout outs. Yeah, tops on the list is Rich, who is 52 today. Kramer obviously turned 50 just less than a week ago.
Yeah.
I hit 50 earlier in July.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I want to do this live, but I've got to ask, did Michael Giovenco turn 50 back in May?
I think he was 51 back in
Is he 51 in May? I feel like, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was worried.
He's a year older than we 1990.
We did a dinner with him last year. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Memorial Day weekend.
Miss a bigger acknowledgement of his 50th. All right. So yeah, lots of things to celebrate going on right now, and our special guest from the Dirt Devils Brass, managing general partner Nick Martinelli. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here. Looking forward to some engaging discussion about the TFFL, and just ready to roll.
Congratulations.
It may be a beatdown, but
there's no beating down. We're in the off season, Nick.
Hey, congratulations to you, Nick. Your second child now off to college.
Yes, sir.
He's not off to college quite yet, but heading there. Yeah.
August 18th is move-in for him, and then a couple days later, the older child goes to school.
All right. And where is second child going to college?
He's going to St. Mary's College of Maryland.
And we probably already talked about this, but yes, that's fantastic. Is he playing soccer?
Yes.
He will be.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Cool.
Yeah.
On a full non-existent scholarship.
Out of the good old 529. That's
yeah.
So no scholarships at the D3 level, but
mom and dad scholarship.
But that's great that he's playing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, one of 5 incoming freshmen on the team, and the schedule just came out, and so yeah, we're looking forward to donning some St. Mary's College of Maryland swag and cheering on the Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Nice.
Yep. Are there a lot of Seahawks up there in
down there in way down in southern Maryland?
Way down. Is it down the peninsula? Where is it?
It's probably about 15 minutes south of Connor and his beach house that he had. But
on the land side of things, not out on the fingernail.
He's out. No, they're out on the fingernail. It's
they are
way down there.
All right, they have Seahawks then.
All right, go Seahawks. I hope global warming doesn't kick in now.
Hopefully, the plan is 4-3-2-1. Graduate in 4 years, have a 3.0, 2 hours of studying for every 1 hour of class.
I thought you were talking about the soccer formation.
Wow. Listen to Nick. Have you written a book about this, the 4-3-2-1 plan, or did you read about this somewhere? Did you steal it?
I did.
Okay.
I did. There's nothing original there.
Say it again. 4 hours what?
I think you ought to count that up from because it kind of goes backwards. You want to lead up to the success.
4 hours drinking. 3 hours what?
Yeah, I didn't hear the breakdown.
So on one hand, you have Rich Berkman who said you can never relive a party, but you always can retake a class.
Yeah, wisdom.
And then there's 4-3-2-1, which is graduate in 4 years, have a 3.0, 2 hours of studying for every 1 hour of class.
But really, Nick, all you really care about is the 4.3.
Yes.
Really, because the 2 and the 1, it really, if you get the 4 and the 3, does the method matter? Because I'm going to tell you, I got the 4, I got the 3. I didn't do shit with the 2 and the 1. I mean, come on.
You did well with the 1s. You went to class.
As I got older, yes. First year, though, problem.
I got the 4.
Yeah. No, I struggled with going to class senior year.
No, that was the whole thing. I went to every class senior year. I killed senior year. Yeah, good.
In many ways.
Yeah.
In many ways.
It almost killed me, but yeah.
All right. So
we're here to talk about it. So that's
4, 3, 2, 1.
4, 3, 2, 1. There you go.
More words to live by.
I'm just gonna go with 4, 3. Stop.
Hey, if that's what it is. All right, so this is a quiet time. The biggest NFL headlines I could muster up. Tell me if I'm missing something here, but Baker Mayfield traded to Carolina for what that's worth. You might upgrade some Carolina players as a result of that, depending upon how you feel about Baker Mayfield. Deshaun Watson, I hate talking about him. There's really no news yet, but I think it sounds like a suspension will be handed down probably within the next week. If we do another webcast, even in a couple weeks from now, I think we'll have that news soon. Again, for what that's worth, I think all of us should presume he's not playing in 2022.
I heard 6 to 8 weeks. I've been hearing
Wow.
6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, I know the season would make sense, but I don't think they're going to sit him out the whole season.
And frankly, I might be the only one who really cares from a fantasy perspective as an Amari Cooper owner. I'm not sure that affects too many other players on that team. Am I missing any big NFL news in the last month or so here of the offseason that we need to talk about? No?
No, not really.
Yeah, it's been quiet, but go look up when training camps open, and you will see we got rookies showing up in the next week. In the days ahead, rookies showing up for training camp. I believe all veterans across the league, every team will have reported by July 26th, if I remember correctly. We're talking, less than 2 weeks away for that. So again,
I was going to say, I guess you could say, for news, Terry McLaurin signed. He obviously, signed a new contract, or it was an extension. I don't know. Lamar Jackson reported to camp, even though there's supposedly a contract talk there. Who was the other one that reported to camp, even though he was San Francisco? Debo Samuel reported.
Yeah, they all came in.
These are actually what OTAs.
Yeah.
And he, although there was the grind there between the management and the player, he showed up.
Yep. Yeah, I never understood what he was complaining about this offseason. I think the fact that he showed up kind of shows that there's not a lot there. I think he'll be playing. I sure hope he is.
He'll be playing, and they'll get him a new deal as they get into this. But he's not going to be the one they worry about right now.
Yeah,
it's all
He's on the contract.
It's fine. They figure it out.
So normally here we would let me give you guys a TFFL trivia question.
Oh boy!
And then we will segue into our substance.
Way out of shape for trivia. Because
I know if I had just skipped ahead right there to TFFL standings, there would have been an outcry. Where's your trivia question?
Mm-hmm.
It's the off season. We're not. I don't think we're going to count this. This is an exhibition trivia question. It should be a layup. What's that?
Well, I think it should count. Listen, it's TFL trivia. It all counts.
All right, 2 points then for the correct answer.
Right.
This should be a relative layup for everybody but Hank. Actually, this is in the sweet spot of your memory. I think you might actually be more good on this.
All right, let's do it.
Back in the 2000s, right, Hank?
Let's see.
The Dirt Devils were the team of the decade. No arguments here.
Mm-hmm.
How many out of the 10 seasons from 2000 to 2009, How many of those seasons ended in a Dirt Devils Packed Bowl title?
I wrote down a number and I'm sticking with it.
I think we should all know this number.
Except for me.
I'll give you the correct answer later in the show. Don't go peeking at the archives. All right. So ordinarily here we would turn to Hank for the TFFL standings. Of course, it's mid-July. We're all 0-0. We talked about that on our last webcast. Everybody can celebrate being in first place still. But let's start getting in the spirit of the 2022 season coming up here. Berto has some sophisticated model. I don't know if he invented it himself or if he pays for it, but he plugs in all of our projected keepers, plugs in draft picks or some mock draft that maybe he does and plugs in, and it spits back out rankings 1 through 12. So in lieu of real standings, we're going to try to tell you where we all stand based on whatever the model is telling Berto.
Okay. So here's the latest that we have. Fats number 1. Actually, let's go reverse order. I'm sorry. Dirt Devil 12. Steel City Mongols 11. Aliens 10th.
All right.
Improvement. Senators 9th. Hams 8th. Packers 7th. Beavers 6th. Sponge 5th. Lizards 4th. Killers 3rd. Wheels 2nd. Fats number 1.
Wow. All right. Let Fats ride the favorite.
Who was 4 on that list?
Lizards.
Wow. And 5?
Beavers.
Okay, so the top 4 teams are no-co teams.
Yep.
What that's worth.
So does it give you records? Like what's the delta between the Beavers at 6
So the power ranking numbers, it's basically a score out of 100. So the number 1 team would get 100, and I'm still figuring out what that score actually means. But to give you some comparison, the Dirt Devils at 12 are 38. So I think it's taking into account your strength of your team somehow. I'm still figuring that part of it out.
And where are the Beavers at number 6?
The Beavers are 79. So.
If the Fats are 100, what are the K Wheels?
K Wheels are 95.
Okay.
All right.
So
all right. There you go. That's
difference between the Fats and the K Wheels.
Did Watson do keepers too, or
there are keepers on here? Yes.
Love to maybe Watson's got some better ideas than me.
We're going to get to you in a second. You just wait. All right. Well, there you go. Everybody, you know where you stand now. You're no longer just 0-0. You're, in my case, number 10. That's the model has not liked the aliens for many years now, and probably fairly. We'll work on it though. All right.
Much improvement to be made between now and draft day.
All right. Commissioner's Corner. That's me now, I guess. Again, still a quiet period. I want to commend our rules chairman, Bill, for I think wisely pushing back our rules date a little bit further. And that's on me. I think I had initially set the date of June 30th, which made sense, end of the month. Let's get this done before we get too close to the draft. But heading into July 4th weekend was not a wise idea for a deadline. So we will get back to conducting the rules process here in the next week or two and get that wrapped up before July. What else do I want to tell you? Berto, thank you. You have booked the house, paid for the house. Thank you to all the owners who have paid up. Not all owners have paid up. And this is my reminder as commissioner. Please, now is the time to pay Berto. He has forked out this money in advance. There will come a time where there will be consequences. That you shouldn't need consequences from the TFFL for this. It's the right thing to do. Pay your bills. Let's get it done.
Have I paid? Did I pay? I think I did.
You did.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I was like, shit, am I the guy who hasn't paid?
And I'm sure you'll ask me again.
I probably will, but just I've paid. We're good, right?
This is how Berto's putting his kids through college. He's just collecting $260.
Phil, you didn't pay. Again.
No, $401. 401. Now speaking,
I have a register in PayPal. It tells me
you paid, Phil.
I count on that register.
Speaking of dues, we're not far off from Nick reminding us that it's time to pay your 2022 franchise dues.
Did I pay my dues yet, Nick?
No,
Nobody has.
No, I was going to say I'd be surprised if anybody has, but that will be coming up soon, and usually $265, including the website fee.
Is that what it is now? 265?
I thought it was like 271 or something like that.
And it's close to 260.
No, it's been 263 for about a decade.
Okay.
No inflation from CBS.
I don't think so. I forwarded Nick the receipt. I don't think it was any different than it usually is. $129.99 or something.
Yeah, that's
something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Hank or anybody else, here's your first opportunity. Go send Nick a check for 200 or a check. Go send Nick money for 260.
PayPal to Nick for 263.
Nick, I even stopped sending you checks a couple of years ago, I think.
Yes, I believe so.
I used to like doing that because I could include the Hartford Whalers cards in there for you.
So I'm
all
sorry,
right.
263 or 265? What's the number?
Make it 265 for inflation if you pay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I got a couple of those right here. In fact, there's a Whalers card right here.
Nice. Who do you got there?
Marty Howe.
One of many hows. All right. I don't have much else. Draft weekend is in sight now. We are less than 2 months away. I think you can, Hank in particular, there are some people who might actually maintain a countdown. I think it is fair to start counting down the days now. We are under 2 months to go, folks. We've started to talk about, when we're going to drive down, who's going to be in what cars. It's only going to get closer and closer from here. Start getting excited. Draft weekend is in sight.
I like the little the counter on the CBS website. It's 56 days, 22 hours, 47 minutes, and 36 seconds.
All right. Very nice. I'll have to make sure, I'll have to make sure that is tuned up to our actual draft time. And not like the start of the NFL season or something. I did renew the site and triggered a new schedule. But with our new 14-game season, my recollection is I need to manually adjust some things. I may consult Bill or Rich, our former commissioner, or I believe Michael Giovenco somehow had the formula for this well established last year. But do not consider the schedule final quite yet. I believe we need to make some adjustments for the 14-game season. All right, that's it for me as commissioner. Let's get into our chat. Nick, you are here for a couple reasons. Let's start with a real Devils specific reason, but it also supports the rest of the league. There are 3 teams, I think, if you look around and look at our keeper lists, there are 3 teams that probably have some sort of a keeper hole to fill, that kind of hold the key for, the trade activity to come. Nick, you are one of those teams, perhaps. You may love 7 guys you've got. You may not know who your 7 keepers are, and I'll ask you some of those questions in a second here. But if we can help you jumpstart your 2022 TFFL planning and be ready for trade offers, here tonight we might be able to kind of open up the log jam and get all 3 of those teams working towards some trades that get the keeper list a little more settled here over the next couple months. So Nick, have you started any prep at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at the roster or the cup board, which is pretty bare. Obviously, that there's a reason why I'm number 12 in Berto's modeling output. I think that the team has been beset by a number of draft picks in the past that have unfortunately gone down to injury, and then have had a resurrection of sorts. Cam Akers, probably the most recent, one. Drafted high, looked promising, blew out his Achilles, and now he's on the comeback. Has looked fabulous at the end of the year, and so there's a lot of sort of kicking myself about that. But hindsight's 2020, and so we have multiple holes to fill. I wouldn't say that my text messaging has been overwhelming with trade offers. I've received a couple. They've been okay. Nothing that's just like laugh out loud. Come on, don't bother me with this stuff. Kind of,
Kramer trade.
Kramer has made some very strong trade offers.
Well, I was actually just looking, and I haven't. I don't think I've gotten anything from. Well, actually, that's not true.
You auto filtered them.
No, that isn't true.
That's not true.
Anyways,
So he had reached out in July.
It is July.
So it is July, and nothing wasn't it wasn't stupid. It wasn't stupid bad. Let's say that. So none of the offers that I've received, but it hasn't been. It's not like I've been. I'm getting pounded every day with texts about potential trades. I think it. Go ahead.
No, you go. Sorry to interrupt.
I think as we get closer to the draft, the relative value will go, there's more leverage for me as an owner, because as we get closer to the draft, our team will have a better idea of who's going to be protected and who's not. And teams are going to become more willing to unload guys that, if I can get something for them, as opposed to now where their value is where the potential trade partner, they have much more leverage because it's so far away from the season. So, I think things will heat up as we get closer to protection day, get closer to the draft, where teams are going to become more urgent in wanting to get something of value in return. So something that could be considered hey, I want a second right now, could be more like a sixth the closer we get to the draft. But that's just hypothetically speaking. There are, looking at a rough sketch of the keeper list, it's not good.
I know Berto wants to jump in, but let's frame this a little bit, Nick, since you just brought it up. Who are your 7 keepers right now, and how many of them do you feel some, maybe not urgent, but critical need to upgrade before the keeper deadline?
I would say 4 out of the 7.
Wow. Okay. And
so I just did a rough sketch of who the 7 were.
Yep.
And I think we could easily have a consensus on this. So Lamar Jackson, Ramondre Stevenson, and George Kittle are no-brainers. Those are the 3.
Okay.
The 4 are in order of let's say strength. James Robinson being number 4, but he's going to be behind Etienne. He's coming off an injury. He's not in the number 1 role, but he's still keeper.
The latest word on him is actually pretty encouraging. I think you're keeping him, and
the guys after that are all throws. Robinson, then Kenneth Gainwell, who's a running back in Philadelphia, but again, there's multiple people there. Sammy Watkins and Tyler Boyd.
not Rondale Moore, and not.
Oh, excuse me, Rondale Moore. Sorry.
And what about Kadarius Toney? No.
Hurt and on the Giants. I mean,
and does Calvin Ridley ever factor into your thinking here as a potential keeper?
Suspended for a year.
You can't.
I need serviceable players.
You just went through this with Cam Akers. Are you gonna be kicking yourself if we have you back on here a year from now and somebody else is keeping Calvin Ridley, who's now the number one receiver on, Houston or wherever he gets traded to?
Who's the quarterback in Atlanta? Desmond Ridder.
He's not going to be on Atlanta in 2023. They're going to trade him.
Oh yeah, Atlanta will trade him.
All right, Berto, go ahead. You had a question for Nick.
No, I was just commenting. I send an offer to Nick once a week just to say hello. And here's my offer for the week. My last 3 responses were not a chance. No, thank you. No, thanks. I'm not thinking about the TFL right now.
I was on vacation at the beach.
I know.
I'm trying to throw open the iPad and check out what's going on.
I just keep it warm. I send Nick a little something to chew on. They haven't been horrible. I think you've gotten a few from me. Thank you for saying that they haven't been horrible. I do hear what you're saying though about waiting. We've had this discussion before about waiting to August, and I get that. I would say that this team is in such disrepair though that you can't wait until the end of August. This team, this is a big project.
It
needs to start in July. This can't be like an August 28th.
It's probably true.
Draft pick. You need
or
if you're filling that.
Okay, so
if you're filling that last keeper spot, or you want to upgrade the 7th keeper, that's an August 29th, September 1st trade. However, if you're replacing 4/7 of your team, then that needs to start earlier. Just saying.
I think not having and that was my mistake not to write down Rondale Moore. So I would say the 3 instead of 4. That's still nearly 50% of the team. I think that without getting into specifics, I think you made a fair offer, but it wasn't. Again, it wasn't something I was like, oh my God, I need to address this right now.
I think the challenge you're going to have, Nick, if you really want to upgrade 4 or even 3 positions, somewhat to Berto's point, that takes a lot of work. It also takes a lot of capital that, maybe it's a 6th round pick and a 5th round pick and a 7th round pick if you wait until the very end. It's a lot of work to do.
It is, and I think that with what's been offered, is it going to be that much of an upgrade? Because it can't get much worse. So it can't get any worse. So do I trade okay, so let's say I act on the offers that I'm provided now. So I give up a 2nd or a 3rd round pick
that
for
guy
players that
could get injured in training camp
or are currently injured and, or could be usurped during training camp by a 1st round draft pick.
Right.
So I'm not, that's the, is the juice worth the squeeze of making that, giving up that 2nd round, making that 2nd round pick.
This is so on a tee for you, Nick. And I don't even want to say it out loud, but you're going to need to make a trade, and you're going to trade Kittle, and the team you're going to probably trade him to is the freaking Giant Killers, who have got extra guys that they can throw you a 2 or a 3 for 1 on Kittle, and it won't cost you your 1st or 2nd round pick to do it. But you're not winning this year, right? I mean, this is a 2, 3, 4 year project to get back, and I think your trading partner is right underneath your head right now.
I would turn so Mike, the floor is yours.
We can talk about Kittle for sure. I think the other thing too, though, is there's a package that could be had for cheap, whether it's with me or other teams who have excess talent, like a couple players for not a lot right now early gives you something to kind of plug in, and you can always tweak that as you go forward. Plus the other thing, you got the 2nd, the 12th, the 14th, the 26th,
Yep.
I'm sorry, the 20th and the 26th. Maybe some of those picks you don't want to give up, and I get that. You might not want to give some of those picks up. However, you got 2 in the 5th. There's some middle ground picks that.
Well, let me bring Hank back into this, because if you go and take, again, I said there are 3 teams that have holes to fill. Go look at those 3 teams. The Aliens need a running back. All right. I've got Dante Foreman right now as a projected 3rd running back. I need a running back. The Devils and the Mongols, though, this is the interesting thing. And I'm going to come back to Hank on this in a second. The Devils and the Mongols really don't need a running back. Again, Nick's if he keeps Kittle, Ramondre Stevenson, James Robinson, the number 2 overall pick, Nick actually can piece together a pretty decent running back core. His receivers, as he just laid out, are all the guys he really wants to upgrade on. Same thing with the Mongols, where what they really need is some stud young receiving talent. They can piece together a good running back core. Hank, I know you're not the most active trader, but you're the guy with Cortland Sutton and Marquise Brown, who you cannot keep right now. I wonder if you're making any inquiries with these more wide receiver needy franchises.
Well, see, this is why we're having this discussion right now. No? The answer is no. I have not been having any discussions on these things, but I would love to have conversations. I think I definitely have excess talent. I definitely have things that might be pieces. So, Roy, come talk to me. I'm a reasonable man. And I've got some good players, including a Raven. No, he doesn't play for the Ravens anymore, does he? He plays for the Cardinals.
No, he plays for Arizona.
Yeah.
Nick, how can we help you?
I want to help you.
Are there big questions you have? Can we tell you what teams certain players are now on?
I think Nick knows that.
Hasn't always been the case in July with Nick. I think he's a little ahead of the curve this year, actually.
I'd give you Rashad Penny and Brandon Cooks right now for Kittle.
Yeah, but if I draft the Seattle rookie running back,
then you have both of them, and Penny's a free agent next year.
I almost have a moral obligation not to draft Penny, since I had drafted him.
Oh yeah,
what was it, 5 years ago at number in the first round? So it's going to be, that's a really tough nut to swallow for me. Because of that lingering, and he's had he had a good half year in Seattle after 4.5 years of injury woes. And then
he was the best running back for 5 or 6 games in the NFL at the end of the
He's a very talented running back. There's no doubt about that.
I don't think that's he's always had talent. Has it translated to on the field results? Yeah, in 2021 he did okay, and he had a great run of games. I can't argue with that. But if I'm playing a 3 to 4 year long game at this, it's that's the.
I don't mean to hurt Berto here, but here's the reality on it, especially a guy like Rashad Penny. If you're going to trade for him, and somebody probably will, you might as well let Berto take on the obvious injury risk that Penny carries throughout training camp and make that trade toward the end. Penny is such an injury risk. You just, but he is also incredibly talented. I think you will probably end up trading him.
But that's a closer to the deadline deal, because for that reason, with the injury, it's also because it's Rashad Penny. It's not a top end lottery ticket. It's a lottery ticket. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I think for the Devils, it makes somewhat sense because he's going to get, he's going to get the other guy there.
Yep.
And they'll have both. And then, Penny's going to go somewhere next year, somewhere else, most likely.
Yeah, he's on a 1-year deal right now in Seattle. Yep. All right. So, yeah, Nick, any other questions? Anything we can help you with to help jumpstart it?
I think that we'll be well prepared for the draft. We have a number of high draft picks. I think we can translate that into some good young talent that will propel the franchise forward to a sustained level of success in the coming years.
You do have an awful lot of early draft picks for sure, and you're in a good position. At number 2 overall, you're going to get one of the 2 top tier rookie running backs. You're where your next. What's your second pick in the first round?
12.
Okay, so you're at 12, and then at 14, I actually think you're going to be in a good position there to maybe scoop up some other either rookie running backs, lower guys who are falling, or some very talented rookie receivers. It's a deep draft, I think, talent wise. Not necessarily.
Would I feel great having Breece Hall and Chris Olave on the team immediately, right. And that changes and I think you did do a mock draft, and I don't think that was.
I think that was exactly it for you. Yeah.
Okay, so there's
no, it's Kenneth Walker. You're not going to
Walker. Yeah, you're not going to get Breece Hall.
No,
who will be number 1 overall, correct?
Yeah. Kenneth Walker and Chris Olave, I think is who I had.
So to me, and that's the other piece. So if I'm going to have two. I get that. I hear Berto's pitch. Like I said, it's fair. It's not. It's not like a Brandon Cooks who's hurt or somebody like that.
All right, let's move on beyond the
talking. You'll get another offer next week on something else.
I don't get one quite every week from you, Berto, but you do have a regular rhythm to them. I don't know if you've got a alert somewhere.
Calendar.
Right.
It's all run by a bot.
All right, let's do some rapid fire stuff real quick, and then I do have a bigger topic that involves the Devils once again. I saw ESPN just did its top 10 list of quarterbacks. And the name on there that really surprised me was Deshaun Watson at number 9. Damn it, we're going to talk about him a little bit more. Is he somebody that a team like the Beavers, who are not going to keep a quarterback, are going to need to draft a top quarterback? Is he somebody that gets drafted high in our draft, or does he go undrafted potentially? Hank, former Deshaun Watson owner.
He definitely is going to get drafted. It's a matter of where. And I think you maybe nailed it. I think Thornburg has no scruples, and so he has no problem taking him and having him be the face of the franchise for the Beavers. Look, I enjoyed the heck out of having him as my quarterback, and I wish he wasn't such an asshole. But I'm not going to draft him. So even if we got to the 13th round and nobody had taken him, I'm not going to be the guy that does it. So he's off my board. I'm sure he's on almost everybody else's.
He's off my board.
All right.
I think the question is best answered, that in September. By then, we'll know whether or not he's going to be. It's difficult to. I can sit here and say, well, I'm not going to draft him because there's the potential he's going to be suspended for a year.
Right. You're right.
If he's going to be suspended for 2 weeks because
or 6 weeks.
Because for some level of time, I'd have no problem drafting him and then flipping him to a team for an asset, or suddenly needs a quarterback. He's playing in week 7. I've got Lamar Jackson. I draft him. I can now trade him for a draft pick or a or a player.
Yep.
And so it's just, he's a commodity. And so the question's best answered on, September 9th or whatever.
The question would be, would I draft him or not? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just curious. Do you think he's a high draft pick to somebody
No.
like the Beavers, who could see him as a franchise quarterback, or is he undrafted?
I think he'll fall. I don't know, fifth round.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
Somebody will definitely take him. So,
all right.
Kramer will take him.
I mean, Nick brings up a very good point. I think a 6-week suspension, Hank, you might have mentioned that earlier. If that's what it ends up being, only 6 weeks, that changes the calculus here. If it's a year-long suspension, maybe he does go undrafted, I think.
These suspensions are all over there's no every day.
It's still arbitrary.
I mean, between Kamara, who knows what's going to happen there? We just don't know. It could be 1 week. It could be 6. I've heard everything for Kamara all over the place. So who knows? Watson, 6 weeks, a year. Who knows? 6 weeks. If it's 6 weeks, I think he's like a 5th or 6th round draft pick.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
Taking fantasy out of the equation, I still was a little surprised that he was in the top 10 of ESPN's rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Just by virtue of the fact he has not played in over a year, and if he's suspended for 6 weeks or even another full year, and frankly, again, fantasy aside, the last time he played, he had a great season, and Houston was 4-12 with decent weapons around him. So he has not proven to be a winner, and it is going to be a long layoff, 1.5 years, 2 years before he next throws a pass in the NFL. We'll see.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Stick, but when he was on Houston last year, he was obviously, he wasn't dressed for the games. He wasn't allowed to practice with the team either.
I don't think so. I think he was away from the team on the exempt. I don't know if he was on the exempt list.
He was away from the team on the players exempt list. Yeah,
I don't think he was there in the quarterback room.
No.
Or and I don't know how much he was working out with NFL receiver. Just little things. He's a very talented guy.
He got guaranteed something like $240 million. The guy's not stupid. Guaranteed. Doesn't matter what happens. He's guaranteed $240 million.
The Browns are shameless. It's
yes, and so he will get drafted in the TFFL, and probably earlier than you would do it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Sticking with quarterbacks. 2 of the top quarterbacks in the game, 2 of the top fantasy quarterbacks, lost their dominant top receiver this offseason. And the more chatter I read about these guys, I'm kind of surprised that people think Patrick Mahomes is going to be just fine, having lost Tyreek Hill. But Aaron Rodgers, who at the moment I'm not projecting as a keeper for the Sponge Fishermen, in part because Rodgers seems to be slipping down a lot of rankings. Rodgers is somehow going to struggle mightily without Devontae Adams. Do you buy this?
I feel, well, I mean, it seems like Kansas City put some more pieces around, filled the gap better for Tyreek than Green Bay did for Devontae Adams. And I don't think it's an argument. I mean, it's pretty self-evident that, Kansas City has Kelsey there, and things were spread around anyway. Green Bay, it was Devontae or nothing. I can't even remember who was the tight end there last year. I can't remember. Tunyon?
Yep,
Tunyon.
Yeah. So
did you collect your money on that one, Hank?
I don't know. What did I win?
There was a bet with the Lizards.
Yes, there was. It was I won an under bet on Robert Tunyon touchdowns.
10 touchdowns or some ridiculous.
Yeah, he gave me a ridiculous number. It was yeah.
So
I called him on a Berkman overstatement. Happy birthday, Rich. Love you.
I think Mahomes will. I think he'll be okay. I do. So who knows?
I think both those quarterbacks are too good to not do well. If Rodgers isn't going to be protected, he'll be one of the first quarterbacks off the board. I think that they're playing in a division that's not so great. They're going to win games. They're going to score. You don't have dominant defenses there. Maybe Chicago, but no dominant defenses there. And I think Green Bay will have a good team. No disrespect to the Vikings.
That's an interesting point, though, because the AFC West, man, that division is going to put up some points. So Mahomes is going to have to, he's going to have to chuck it, you would think. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe to what Nick's saying, the Packers won't as much because the teams are not that good, although, the Vikings are going to sling it a little bit too. But but the AFC West is going to be a shootout.
Neither of these quarterbacks are suddenly going to be only passing 22 times a game and the running backs having 30 attempts. I mean, it's just that's not the nature of the NFL. It's not the nature of those two. It's not what makes they're going to put the quarterbacks in positions to succeed. They're their best players. They're going to have the ball in their hands and they're going to throw the ball downfield. I don't see how I can't see how they're not.
Mahomes has Schuster this year. He has Juju.
Berto made a good point. I think the reason everybody's higher on Mahomes is, they went out and got Juju. I'm a little biased. They went out and got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, took him away from Green Bay, another guy who left Green Bay. And the reports on MVS have actually been very good. He's got Kelsey there to begin with. They drafted Sky Moore. I think Mahomes is going to be just fine. I also think Rodgers is going to be just fine. I think that to me is the stupid part of this story is Aaron Rodgers is going to make somebody, whether it's Alan Lazard or is it Christian Watson?
Christian Watson's from North Dakota. Yep.
They spent a first-round pick on him. We're giving Kansas City props for spending a second on Sky Moore. Green Bay invested in Watson. Sammy Watkins, who knows? Probably not. But, Aaron Rodgers is going to make one or two receivers there look pretty good throughout the year. I think he's going to be just fine.
Why wouldn't I roll the dice on that?
What's that?
I said, why wouldn't I roll the dice on that?
Yeah, you would. You would.
I've done it several times and have found out it usually doesn't pay off. That's why I wouldn't, but maybe you would.
Can't get any worse.
Kadarius Toney, I don't know. Or Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins, Aaron Rodgers, Kadarius Toney, and
fair enough.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel
Jones.
All right. One last quickie here. Speaking of guys who have basically not played in 2 years, I got a quick hot take here. Michael Thomas of the speaking of picking on the Lizards too. Michael Thomas might be one of the worst keepers in this league right now. The guy has not played for 2 years. I don't have his stats in front of me, but didn't he have a 0 touchdown season the last time we saw him? No longer catching passes from Drew Brees. Jarvis Landry now there to take away some of the slot receptions that Thomas is known for. Chris Olave there as perhaps the new future number one receiver. I have a hard time projecting Michael Thomas, for superstar numbers ever again.
He hasn't scored a touchdown since 2019.
Wow. And the last, go look up the last, Roto World blurb on him or something. My recollection is he's still nursing that ankle injury. This is not a short term. There's something wrong with his ankle.
He's questionable for week 1.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't think he's going to be ready for. They think he'll be back at some point during the 2022 campaign.
Maybe Berkman moves on from him. He can keep Deontay Johnson instead.
I think he's already keyed. It's somebody like Odell Beckham, but Odell Beckham's not employed right now.
All right, he's got Dak, Eckler, Mixon, Evans,
Connor.
Yep.
Deontay Johnson.
Deontay Johnson is a definite keeper. Yep.
But then, never know. The battle might be with Alan Lazard if he's going to be Rodgers' darling.
Does he has Lazard?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Point for Hank. Yeah, that's somebody we should be considering as a potential 7th keeper for the Lizards.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that wasn't such a hot take then. But good. There we are. TFFL webcast.
Insights.
Yes.
Adding value.
All right, we got 10 minutes to go. Let me bring up a bigger topic here. This does tie back to the Devils. It also lets us talk about the first round of the 2022 draft coming up. If you've been following dynasty rankings, Mike Clay from ESPN or anybody else who does dynasty league, keeper league rankings, for years now, the trend has been, especially with rookies coming in, favoring receivers, in large part because they have much longer careers than running backs, but also because of the trend in the NFL for fewer and fewer, real bell cow running backs, if you will. And we saw, and so Nick, this is where you come in. We saw this play out last year in the TFFL draft. I think the TFFL has been an exception to that trend because we require 3 starting running backs. And you saw it in the draft last year. Rich taking, let me get his name right, I can never do this.
Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon. Yes.
Sermon.
And Nick following that up with I can much more easily say Ramondre Stevenson, bypassing both Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith in the process. Ramondre Stevenson is going to turn out, he had a decent rookie season last year. He's probably going to be even more productive this year. He's going to be a guy you can start. He may not be a stud. He may, given his size and his propensity for touchdowns, may actually turn out to be close to a stud fantasy running back. It was not, at least at this point, does not look like a terrible pick. I still think you will always prefer having Jamar Chase. But I wonder this, you saw my mock draft a month or two ago. I wonder if this year, just especially given the makeup of the rookie class, if we're really going to see a lot more rookie receivers taken earlier and earlier and throughout the first round.
I mean, I still think that and I don't have data to back this up, but I think that you're going to find that the rookie running backs more often than not could have a more immediate impact, or there's so few opportunities to get your hands on those running backs, and because our league places so much value on them, and there's fewer of them compared to wide receivers. I think that the more often than not, a Jamar Chase is the exception rather than the rule. I'll use a phrase that you've said before, Stick, which is typically receivers don't bloom until 3 years from their draft. And so would I have liked to have Jamar Chase? Yes. Am I disappointed that I didn't get Devonta Smith from Philadelphia? No. And I think that but Chase certainly better than Smith. Smith had no disrespect to Berto's support of the Eagles, but their quarterback, I think that was more of a question mark. And so I think there's just more importance placed on the running backs, and there's so few opportunities to get a hold of them. So
real quick here, guys, before Berto and Hank jump in, the decisions this year are going to be: do I draft a guy like, and I may not pronounce his name right, Tyler Algier down in Atlanta, or who's the guy in Houston, Pierce? Do I draft those second, or even or Isaiah Spiller, who will be backing up Eckler for the Chargers? Do I draft those guys, or do I draft Garrett Wilson for the Jets? Do I draft Treylon Burks?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm go. You guys give me the answer.
I mean, last year it was. It seemed more evident of who was going to be really good. Jamar Chase had some bad publicity in training camp, and with the drops and all that, which is why he fell. But I think there was more star power clearly last year than this year. So you kind of knew who was going to be up there. This year, it's frankly, it's uninspiring. I'm looking at the rookies, and it's not all that exciting, right? After Breece Hall and Walker, like, okay.
Among the running backs, yeah.
So anything could happen, and maybe Treylon Burks is going to be the next Metcalf or AJ Brown or whatever. It's possible. None of these guys are popping like they popped last year, like Devontae and Jamar Chase and Waddle and all these guys, man. It was just a better draft class. So who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, and those are two, Chase coming out of LSU, Smith coming out of Alabama, two big names. Two really, like you said, heavy hitters in terms of brand name. Olave obviously is Ohio State, but Dotson is a diminutive wide receiver from Penn State. You're right. There's no, and are they products of the offense rather than the NFL's different than college. It's not. They're not running. We're not running. NFL's not running the option. It's not a ton of spread offenses, except for a couple of teams. So it's different. It's different when you've got the same sized, cornerback as a wide receiver who's going to stand 5 yards away from you and punch you in the face than in college.
I think.
Yeah, no, I totally disagree with that.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I can't disagree more. I think what we're seeing is the spread offenses and the multi-receiver sets and the motion out of the backfield and all that stuff is a product of these open offenses we've been seeing in college. And now these guys who have either been playing in them for a couple of years or are coming into the NFL, that's how they want to play. And we don't have smash mouth football all that much anymore. I mean, Derrick Henry is a bit of a throwback in that way, right? Yep. I think it's more and more guys like Chris Olave and Jalen Waddle from last year, and I don't even know who the rookies are. Dotson is, he said he's small, but yeah, Burks is a big guy that if he's fast enough, could be a difference maker in the NFL. And look, the TFFL we've watered down the three running backs a little bit with the addition of a tight end, and there's a lot of ways to get receivers on the field.
Does Cincinnati run a pro style offense or a spread?
Cincinnati, the Bengals.
The Bengals run a mix, but they run a lot of three receiver sets, and they do a lot of motion.
Listen, you're right. I mean, the college is obviously not running wishbone anymore. The point that I've read a few times now is go earlier than college. Their 7-on-7 football is opening up football at younger age. It's all receivers. It's all pitch and catch, basically. I disagree with Berto and Nick on this. I think obviously, and NFL teams disagree. There are a lot of first-round rookies. Jahan Dotson is getting rave reviews in Washington. Yes, it's Washington. Yes, he's got to compete with McLaurin. But he's and I saw him play a few games. I watched Penn State a few times last year. He's a really good receiver. May not be a fantasy stud because he's a little short. But yeah, Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams will be an interesting choice just because I'm not sure how much he's going to play this year. Drake London, compare him to Dotson. London is 6'5" or whatever. He's going to catch touchdowns. It's just a matter of who's going to throw the ball. No, I think there's a lot of talented rookie receivers. They may not be studs like Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith were, but they're first rounders in the NFL, and I think a lot of those guys will be first rounders in the TFFL.
I mean, there's going to be somebody who pops here, right? Elijah Moore was real good with the Jets last year. Yeah, these guys will be good. My whole point was the top tier this year doesn't have the same star power as it did last year. I mean, they
can't argue with that.
They could be good. Who knows? And there's going to be a couple guys here that are going to probably be superstars for sure.
Training camp will tell us a lot with the receivers. It'll tell us a lot with these running backs. Again,
I just don't think there's the Devontae, Jamar Chase, Waddle.
But there's also
name-wise. Now, no one I don't think is going to do what Jamar Chase did last year, but
there's also no Ramondre Stevenson or Trey Sermon for that matter. They're the second tier of running backs is very uninspiring. Mm. And unless Tyler Algier or Pierce or Spiller it would take an Eckler injury, that nobody's going to emerge in training camp that's going to, I'm sitting here at number 4 overall. I am not counting on there being a running back there who I'm going to be excited to draft.
But there is going to be somebody there that's a piece, and you see it. Most NFL teams are successful have more than one running back.
Sure,
that's true.
That's Ramondre Stevenson is, but
you see, he's 1A or whatever he is, and from Kansas City to the Vikings have Alexander Madison. I mean, you're going to have another slot. So like San Diego, yes, you have Eckler, but Eckler's going to be better if you can let Spiller come in for a few series here and there. And so that's the NFL right now. The running backs, the number of 20 carry a game running backs is few.
So, but to the point of who's going to get like how they're going to be drafted, would anybody say that there's going to be 6 or more wide receivers drafted in the first round?
It's a good number.
I think that's a good number. Yeah,
I think 6 or 7.
I might take the over on 6.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these receivers, again, if I'm sitting there at 4 right now, I don't know anything about Tyler Algier. Mm-hmm. If I'm sitting there at 4, I'm taking a receiver. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. We'll see what happens in training camp, but I'm not convinced Tyler Algier or Pierce or anybody else is going to emerge as anything more than what Hank's talking about. Maybe a Ramondre Stevenson type upside where, he's going to be one of 2 running backs. But would I rather have that, or would I rather have Treylon Burks?
I think there's a lot of pressure and again, maybe this is just me, outside pressure on owners to draft running backs sooner rather than later. And that there's the overall belief, and I don't have it in front of me, but of the 12 first round picks, how many wide receivers were there? Who did you put yourself as drafting at number 4? There's more pressure to pick those running backs earlier because they're let's say a perceived premium on them, despite the way of how the NFL's offenses are going. And people can say, what, like I said, I'm hoping I can get Olave at 12.
Right.
So it would be interesting to see and again, your first mock draft, how many wide receivers were there? Were there any tight ends in the first round?
So last year,
Kyle Pitts.
Last year. Last year, there were 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. Pitts.
Yep.
Waddle, Jamar Chase, and who was the third?
Smith.
Devontae Smith for fast.
In 2020, there were only 2 wide receivers, but you could argue that year was, a pretty sick running back class.
Who are the 2 receivers out of Jerry Jeudy? One of them.
Yep. CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy.
Yep. And there's another good example. I took Hank and I both. I can remember that draft, Berto. Number 6, actually, number 4, I believe, was Nick taking Cam Akers.
Yep.
Number 5 was Berto taking DeAndre Swift, who fell to him.
Right.
And then you got to an interesting to bring back our discussion here. Number 6 was the Hams, and they took CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
as opposed to taking one of the next two running backs who went off the board, which were Antonio Gibson. And then I may have screwed up. This really hasn't borne out too much yet, but I had a choice between Zach Moss, a running back piece, by no means a stud coming out of college, or Jerry Jeudy. And I took Zach Moss. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy hasn't done anything yet either. He could this year, but he hasn't yet. Zach Moss has probably proven he's not going to do much. And that was a case where I needed a running back.
I think Terry McLaurin was the last pick in the draft. Right? Was Terry McLaurin the last pick in the draft that year?
He was in the 13th round. He wasn't the last pick.
Wow, nice job.
Yeah, I mean, he was. That was a.
Yep.
That was not 20. That was 19, I guess.
His rookie year. Yeah. He's had 3 seasons.
Yeah.
All right. So let's wrap up. We're a little bit over an hour.
One other thing, Nick. That draft. You know who you took number 13 overall?
Oh, Nick.
Don't say it. Don't say it. So I took Akers number. I took
6.
Akers 4. At 4.
Yeah. I have the answer to this question.
And then at 13.
Yep.
Oh, I should know this.
He's on your team. He's on your keeper list.
No.
Did I take Kyler Murray?
Henry Ruggs.
Oh boy.
Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
Where's
He's not on the I don't think he's on the keeper list, is he?
No. I thought that was James Robinson. Where did he take James Robinson?
I took James Robinson like the 3rd round.
That was that draft.
Mm-hmm.
James Robinson was
Maybe later in the 2nd round.
3rd or 4th.
all right. So he took Ruggs 13th overall, and James Robinson was 16th overall.
Okay.
Second
And
round.
then I didn't have a pick. I think it was worried because I was actually looking at Laviska Shenault.
Yes.
And then I decided to go with Robinson instead. Great pick.
And then Darius Slayton to the Beavers. Oof. And then the next 3 picks: Justin Jefferson, Darren Waller, Joe Burrow.
Good picks.
That's in the 2nd round?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I'm giving myself a point, by the way. I know it's only 2 years ago, but the fact that I could remember 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm getting a half a point for James Robinson. He was a 2nd round pick for the Devils and an early 2nd round pick for the Devils.
Well done.
All right.
You getting a point in what? You get a point in trivia?
I'm just giving myself a point in life.
Just a point in life. I got it.
But speaking of trivia, let's wrap up here. I've got a easy trivia answer for you for 2 points. How many titles did the Devils win in the 2000s? 4 is indeed the correct answer. Well done, folks.
Everybody got it?
That's great.
2 points to start the season for everybody.
So when was the 5th? 2012.
Let's.
When was
You don't have 5.
you have 5?
No, you have 4.
That's a trick
It
question.
was all 4. It was the more in the 2000s.
You only have 4. Yeah, that's what kind of made it an easy question, actually.
Well, was there one that there was a 3-year gap then, and I got one?
You won. You beat the Killer or the Cells at that point. 2001, 2002, and then I think you had a break, and then you won another one a year or 2 after that, and then you won one late in the decade.
Let me give it to you. In 2001, 2003, and 2004. So you won
2003, 2004 against the Killers?
3 times in 4 seasons, yeah. And then it wasn't until 2008 that you won again. And then it was the Giant Killers decade to follow after that.
And you won 5 times, Berto?
Yes.
He won 5 times, but one of those was in your decade, Nick, in 2009. Only 4 times. Berto with 4 wins in the 2010s. Nick with 4 in the 2000s.
The infamous "Wake Me Up for the Playoffs."
Yes. All right, let's wrap this up. So there's your trivia answer. 2 points all around.
This is a fun decade.
I've got it recorded. I've got it recorded. 2 points for Hank, 2 points for Berto, and 2 points for the guest.
Nice job, guys.
With Nick getting the points.
All right. So we'll come back here in a few weeks. When we do, presumably training camps will be in full swing. Hate to say it, but this is the time of year we're going to have an injury or two. As Nick said, we're going to have rookies coming in and taking jobs from veterans. There will be some keeper list shakeups for sure, regardless of whether we have any TFFL trades. But let's see some TFFL trades coming up soon, guys. Hank, go make a pitch to Nick.
Go make a pitch?
You already go rewatch the webcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a pitch to Nick. We'll talk, Nick.
All right. Good. Everybody, enjoy your summer. Enjoy your preparations for the draft. And we'll see you soon on the webcast. We will see you relatively soon, less than 2 months away, in Myrtle Beach for draft weekend. Looking forward to it. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, everyone. All right. Hang on. I don't even have it yet. Now I have it.